feel really bad for Emilio, the poor guy. He's got that terrible toothache, and I really should do something nice for him because he is a good friend. So I'm going to make soup, lettuce soup. He's going to love it. And not too many people know about lettuce soup, but the Italians make soup from lettuces all the time. And to make this soup, you want to start with about 6 tablespoons of butter melted in a soup pot, to which you have added 1 small shallot, or shallot, as some people say, just minced up, and you want to flavor the butter. And then, after that's hot, and the shallot is minced down, well, you want to add some flour. And here you want to be real careful because you want to add about 1/2 cup of flour very slowly. Now you're making something here called a roux, and I'm sure you've done this before in sauces that you've made. Add the flour, about 1/2 cup, a little bit at a time. So while you're doing that, of course, you want to have ready some beef broth. And here's mine. This is about 6 cups of fresh beef broth. And I'm going to add this now slowly to my roux. So in it goes a little bit at a time. And as you add it, you want to keep stirring all the time, of course, with your whisk. And this is going to help thicken this soup as well as smooth it out, because I did tell you it looked pretty lumpy in the beginning. So 6 cups go in, and you want to make sure that you do that with broth that's hot, so you don't want to bring down the temperature of the shallot and the flour. So when that is smooth, when you can feel that it's smooth on the bottom of your soup pot, well, then that's when you want to add the lettuce. And today I'm using romaine lettuce because it's a favorite lettuce of Italians. And it has a slightly bitter flavor. So you want, for this recipe, about 2 heads of romaine that you've washed and cleaned, and you can cut it up a little bit, and get it in there with your beef broth. Now, if you didn't have romaine lettuce, you could use some other type of lettuce, but a slightly bitter lettuce is really nice for this. So now, when you get that in, just push it in a little bit, and now I'm going to add just a little bit of salt, because I have salt in my beef broth, of course, and a little bit of pepper. And I'm going to put a cover on this now and just let that cook down over medium heat. Meanwhile, I've got to drain those beans that I've been cooking here, because I'm going to do something in the soup with this later on. So these are just fresh green beans, about 2 cups, that I cooked in boiling water. Make sure you start in boiling water. And then I added a little bit of olive oil to the water, because you see how nice and green? That keeps the color of the beans. And that I'm just going to set aside for later. So now that we've got that done, well, we'll go back to our soup here. Now this soup, after it is cooked down some, we get a pot holder because that is rather hot now. Turn this off. After that soup cooks down, you want that to cook down, for about 20 minutes. You see? It's going to look something like that. It's really cooked down. And now what you need to do is to puree this. So now I want to bring over my food processor, or if you did not have a food processor, well, then you would have to do this in a blender. But I happen to have my food processor, so I'm going to put this in. Now, when you do this, you're going to have to do this in small batches. If you try to put all that soup, which is going to make about 2 quarts, into your food processor, it's all going to fall out the sides. So really process that up well. We're going to add a little bit of egg. So this is 2 egg yolks go into the soup. And I'm just going to whisk that in. And then with that, I want about 1/2 cup of heavy cream. Isn't that nice? And then I'm going to add a little bit, about 1/2 cup of Asiago cheese. I love this. This is a cow's milk cheese from northern Italy. And if you didn't have it, well, you could use Parmesan cheese. And then a grating of nutmeg goes in, just like that. Now I just want to reheat that soup. So that goes back in the pot. Try to be neat. And then we got to add those green beans. And there they are. And they go in just like that. And now just imagine having this with some of those croutons over the top. And this you just want to cook until the egg is cooked somewhat. And then, for my friend Emilio, of course, I've got to bring this over to him. So I want to get this soup now, turn this off, and just scoop some into a jar for him. Now, this is going to be the trick of how dexterous I can be here, you see. And this is a wonderful soup to have when lettuce is in season. And lettuce is always in season, isn't it? I think this just makes a wonderful, nourishing meal. You could have this with a salad. You'd be perfectly happy, and a nice slice of bread. So there, I think that that's just about enough.